Carolyn didn't know Wesley was still in the house. She was standing in the hallway, laughing with her friend Sarah. "I don't think he's special anymore," she said. "6 months ago I thought I couldn't lose him. Now, I honestly think I could replace him in a month." Wesley heard every word. He didn't interrupt. He didn't confront her. He turned the heat under the Rosemary chicken down to low. 3 months earlier, she'd mentioned, once, Rosemary chicken reminded her of Sundays with her grandmother, when she was 7 years old and the world still felt manageable. Wesley had written it down, not on his phone. On the notepad he kept in his work shirt pocket. He served dinner exactly 14 minutes later. Carolyn smiled, told him it tasted perfect. She never knew he'd heard the conversation. For the next 3 weeks, Wesley stopped trying to decide whether she was wrong. He started trying to decide whether she was right. Wesley was 44, a master cabinet maker, custom furniture restoration, the kind of work that draws people who understand that what takes longer to build lasts longer once it's built. He was not loud. He was the kind of man who made a room feel steady without announcing he was doing it. He and Carolyn had been together 2 years. She was 41, ran her own marketing consultancy, sharp and ambitious, a woman who had spent 20 years being the smartest person in most rooms and had begun slowly to confuse intelligence with accuracy. Year 1 was real. Wesley was certain of that. Year 2 was when the consultancy expanded. New clients, new income, new circle, and a new vocabulary for what counted as enough. For 3 weeks he carried that sentence. Some mornings he was sure she was right, that he had become ordinary, that consistency had quietly curdled into the kind of thing you stop thanking someone for because it stopped costing them anything. Anything. Other mornings he was sure it was her. Most mornings he couldn't tell. He'd be sanding a drawer front and hear it again, not special anymore. And he'd stop, hand flat on the wood, and think, maybe that's just what love looks like after the new wears off. Maybe I'm the one asking it to feel like more than it is. The most expensive thing a careful man can do is doubt his own accuracy. He didn't leave after a sentence. Nobody real does. You don't lose certainty all at once. You lose it the way a room loses heat. So slowly you keep telling yourself it's fine. One evening she looked up from her laptop and nodded at his shirt pocket. "What do you always write in that thing?" He smiled. "Just work." She was already looking back at the screen. She never asked again. Frank had been Wesley's mentor since he was 23. A furniture restorer who spent 50 years returning broken things to better than original, and who always said the true thing instead of the comfortable one. They met for coffee. Frank listened without interrupting, then set his cup down. You know the problem with being reliably good at something? People stop seeing the skill. They start seeing the result as just the condition of the room. Like it was always this temperature, like nobody's tending the furnace. Wesley looked at the table. What if she's right? What if I did become ordinary? Frank was quiet, long enough that Wesley knew the question was being taken seriously. Have you stopped seeing her? Wesley thought about the notepad, the Rosemary chicken, the migraine medicine on the second shelf, the extra blanket he'd put in the car before her December trip, without being asked. No, he said. Then you're not ordinary, Frank said. You're just in a house where someone stopped looking at the walls. Then he added the part Wesley didn't want to hear. But let me ask you the other one. When's the last time she saw you tending it? Not the last time you did it, the last time you let her catch you. Wesley didn't have an answer. Here is what the story from the outside always misses. Wesley had stopped too. Not loving her, but reaching for her. He had stopped planning the evenings that cost effort instead of comfort. He had become what he was best at, present and consistent and reliable, and forgotten that reliability, without the occasional reminder that it's chosen rather than automatic, looks identical to inertia from the other side. He had maintained the furnace without ever letting her see him tend it. Carolyn was not cruel. She was inaccurate, and inaccuracy, sustained long enough, does the same damage as cruelty. With none of the honesty, the end came in the car, driving home from a dinner with her colleagues. A dinner where Wesley had understood, somewhere around the appetizers, that he hadn't been brought as a partner, he'd been brought as evidence. A certain kind of stable life that made the rest of the performance more credible. She talked the whole drive, then almost as an afterthought. Love shouldn't feel this easy, Wesley. Doesn't it bother you that nothing between us ever feels urgent? He kept his eyes on the road. No, it doesn't. She heard indifference. What he meant was, urgency is what you feel when something is unstable. I built something that wasn't. But he didn't say the second part, and she didn't ask. and in the space between his answer and her silence, something finished that had been finishing for a while. The final conversation happened on a Saturday morning. No speech, no list of grievances. "I think we've stopped seeing the same relationship," Wesley said. "What does that mean?" "It means you're looking at something different than I built." She waited for something she could push against. His calm was not what she'd prepared for. "That's it? You're just done?" "I think we've both been done a while," he said. "I'm just the one saying it out loud." She told him he was making a mistake. He nodded. She told him men like him didn't find what they'd had very often. He agreed the beginning had been real and worth having. She told him he wasn't being rational. "I'm being precise," he said. "That's different." He left the key on the counter. He drove to the workshop, let himself in, and stood at his bench a long time without touching anything. Then he opened the refrigerator in the break room where Frank kept lunches. He'd brought the Rosemary chicken. Covered. Labelled. The habit of feeding the people in his space so automatic, he'd done it without thinking. He looked at it for a moment, turned off the light, went back to his bench and sat down, and he understood, sitting there in the quiet, that he was not a man who had lost a competition. He was a man who had looked at the competition and understood it was never his to enter. The day you stop needing someone to confirm your value is the day your value stops being negotiable. 6 weeks later, clearing the last of his things from her apartment, Carolyn found the notepad, work shirt pocket, worn at the corners. She sat down on the floor with it. She turned a page. Rosemary chicken, grandmother's recipe. Sunday, she turned another. Call her mother Thursday. She forgets when she's on deadline. Another. Migraine medicine, second shelf, left cabinet. Yellow lilies, not white. The tea with the gold label. Dentist on the 14th. She's nervous. Don't mention it beforehand. Another. Then another. Every page looked the same. Not reminders for himself. Reminders for her. She reached the last page with writing on it. One line, newer than the rest. Don't mention the dentist beforehand. She'll worry about it all week. She sat on the floor a long time. She did not call him. There was no version of the call that explained anything he didn't already understand better than she did. Wesley never heard about the notebook. He didn't need to. He was in the workshop on a Thursday when Frank stopped by and looked at the new piece for a while. What do you say to someone who called what you do ordinary? Wesley thought about it. Nothing. You don't correct someone's vision for them. You just stop building in rooms where people stop looking at the walls. Frank nodded. People don't lose good men in one day. They lose them one unnoticed kindness at a time. Wesley picked up his pencil, opened a new notepad, wrote something at the top of the first page, not a name. A detail, something small someone had said in passing that they hadn't expected anyone to store. He wasn't starting over. He was continuing. Wesley never knew Carolyn found the notebook. He never knew she sat on the apartment floor, turning page after page, stopping longer with each one than the last. He never knew she reached the entry about the yellow lilies and realized she'd forgotten she'd ever told him. She hated white flowers because they reminded her of funerals. He never knew she cried. He never knew she almost called, and that mattered, because some realizations don't exist to repair what was broken. They exist. So the next person isn't loved carelessly. Wesley wasn't waiting for an apology. Carolyn wasn't looking for forgiveness. They were simply two people who finally understood the same relationship, just at different times. Ultimately, the tragedy of Wesley and Carolyn wasn't a sudden explosion, but a slow erosion of visibility. We often mistake consistency for simplicity. We see the steady warmth of a home and forget that someone is laboring to keep the furnace lit. That was everything. If you've ever loved someone so precisely that they confused your consistency with your ceiling, drop your age, and one line below, I read every single one. Subscribe for more stories about the people who build quietly and the rooms that finally notice.